She booked an escort for one night, unaware he was a billionaire, CEO in disguise. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It is quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let us return to the main character. She stands alone in her apartment, the city humming beyond the window like it always does, loud and indifferent. The clock on the microwave reads 10:47 p.m. The light above the sink flickers once, then steadies. She exhales, slow and controlled, as if she has been holding her breath all evening without realizing it. Tonight was not supposed to feel like this. She had told herself this decision was practical, temporary. One night to quiet the noise in her head. One night where she would not have to explain herself, defend herself, or pretend that everything was fine. Just one night of honesty, with someone who would not ask for more than she could give. Her phone rests on the kitchen counter. The screen is already open. The booking confirmation is there, glowing softly. One escort, one night. Clear terms, clear boundaries, no judgment. She reads the details again, even though she has memorized them. She is not nervous about the arrangement. What unsettles her is how calm she feels, as if this choice did not come from impulse, but from exhaustion. Earlier that day, she had smiled through another meeting where no one listened. She had nodded through another conversation that assumed she was fine. She had gone home alone, like she always does, to an apartment that feels too quiet for someone who spends her days surrounded by people. This was not about desire. It was about control, about choosing something for herself, for once, without asking permission. A notification buzzes. He is on his way. She straightens, suddenly aware of the silence. She walks to the bathroom, checks her reflection. Nothing dramatic. Clean hair, simple clothes, no performance. She wants to be seen as she is tonight, not as someone else's expectation. There is a knock at the door, not loud, not impatient, just firm enough to be polite. Her heart beats once, hard. She walks to the door and opens it. The man standing there is not what she expected. He is tall, but not imposing. His jacket is plain, his shoes clean but worn. He does not carry himself like someone trying to impress. His eyes meet hers, steady and calm, without scanning the room or her body. There is no grin, no practiced charm. "Good evening," he says. His voice is warm, measured. "I am here for the booking." She nods and steps aside, letting him in. As he crosses the threshold, she notices how carefully he moves, as if aware of the space he occupies. He removes his jacket and places it neatly over a chair without being asked. Something about that small gesture makes her pause. They stand there for a moment, unsure who should speak first. She clears her throat. "You can sit," she says, gesturing toward the couch. "Before anything else, we should talk, just to be clear." "Of course," he replies immediately, sitting where she indicates, his hands resting openly on his knees. "Whatever you need." That answer surprises her more than it should. She explains the rules. One night. No pressure. No expectations beyond conversation unless she decides otherwise. He listens without interrupting, nodding once, thoughtfully. "You can change your mind at any point," he says. "And if you prefer to just talk, that is perfectly fine with me." She looks at him then, really looks at him. And for the first time that evening, she feels something shift. Not attraction, not relief. Something quieter. Respect. And in that moment, neither of them knows that this night, arranged so carefully to mean nothing, is about to change everything. She does not invite him closer, not yet. Instead, she moves to the kitchen counter and pours 2 glasses of water, her hands steady, her mind less so. This part matters. She knows it does. Part 2 is where she either loses control of the night or claims it fully. "I want to be honest," she says, handing him a glass. "This is not something I do, not usually." He accepts the glass with both hands. "You do not owe me an explanation," he replies, "but I am listening if you want to share one." That answer lands softly, but it lands. She sits across from him, not beside him, leaving a careful space between them. She notices that he does not try to close it. "I had a long day," she begins, then stops, shaking her head. "That is not true. I have had a long year." She tells him about the breakup that ended quietly, without drama, which somehow made it worse. About the way people assume strength means lack of loneliness. About how everyone seems to think she has everything together because she never lets herself fall apart in public. She does not mention names. She does not dramatize it. She keeps her voice even, almost detached, as if telling someone else's story. But every word is hers. "I did not book you because I wanted to feel wanted," she says finally. "I booked you because I wanted to feel seen, just for one night." He does not interrupt. He does not lean forward. He simply listens. For a man who is supposed to be playing a role, he is surprisingly present. She studies him as she speaks. His eyes do not wander. His posture remains open. There is no impatience in his expression, no sense that he is waiting for something else to begin. That unsettles her more than if he had acted exactly as expected. "When I filled out the request," she continues, "I wrote one line at the end. I do not know if you saw it." "I did," he says. "You wrote, 'Please be kind.'" Her breath catches just slightly. "Yes," she says, "that was the most important part." He nods once. "Then I am glad I came." The words are simple, but something about the way he says them feels deliberate, as if he chose this assignment himself, as if this night means more to him than a paycheck. She clears her throat and straightens. "There are rules," she says, returning to the structure that feels safer. "We already covered some, but I want to be clear. I am listening. No assumptions, no expectations. If I say stop, everything stops. And if you decide this is not what you want, you can leave. I will still pay you for your time." He meets her gaze. "I agree to all of that, and I want to add one thing." She raises an eyebrow. "Which is? If at any point you feel uncomfortable, I will be the one to leave. You will not have to ask." She did not expect that. Most people, she realizes, would have reassured her, or flirted, or tried to lighten the moment. He does none of those things. He treats her boundaries like something solid and real. For the first time that evening, her shoulders relax. She looks down at her glass, then back at him. "Can I ask you something?" "You can ask me anything." "Why do this?" she asks. "Why this work?" There is a pause. Not a long one, but long enough to feel intentional. "Because sometimes," he says slowly, "people need someone who will listen without wanting anything in return. And sometimes, pretending to be someone else makes it easier to show up honestly." She studies his face, searching for irony or performance. She finds none. She does not know it yet, but that answer is only half the truth. Outside, a siren passes in the distance, then fades. Inside the apartment, the night settles into a quiet that feels different now. Not heavy, not empty, just open. And without realizing it, she has already passed the first test of the night. The room grows quieter as the conversation slows, not because there is nothing left to say, but because both of them are choosing their words more carefully now. He sets his glass down on the coffee table, aligning it neatly with the edge. It is a small habit, unconscious, the kind of detail most people would never notice. She does. "You do not have to explain anything else tonight," he says. "We can just sit for a moment if you want." She considers that. The idea of silence with someone else in the room used to make her uncomfortable. Tonight, it feels different. Less like absence, more like permission. "All right," she says, "just for a moment." They sit across from each other, the space between them unchanged. Outside, the city continues its restless rhythm. A car passes. Somewhere below, a door slams. Life goes on, unaware of how carefully this moment is being held. He watches her without staring, taking in the details she does not think to hide. The way she rubs her thumb against the rim of her glass when she is thinking. The way her shoulders lift slightly when she exhales, as if she has been carrying more weight than she admits. For him, this night began as a test. He had chosen the disguise deliberately. Plain jacket, no watch, no sign of the world he usually moves through. No assistants, no board meetings, no expectations. Just a role that allowed him to see people as they truly are when power is stripped away. Most nights the test is simple. Some people treat him like an object, others like a transaction. A few like a fantasy they do not intend to respect. She does none of those things. Instead, she treats him like a person who might leave if she pushes too hard, like someone whose comfort matters as much as her own. That alone sets her apart. "I want to ask something else," she says, breaking the silence, "and you do not have to answer if you do not want to." He nods. "Ask." "What happens after tonight?" she asks. "Not between us. I mean, for you." It is an unexpected question. Most people do not look past the arrangement. They do not wonder about the life that continues once the door closes. He chooses his words carefully. "After tonight, I go back to my routine," he says. "Different places, different faces, same expectations." "That sounds lonely," she says quietly. He almost smiles, but stops himself. "It can be." She leans back against the couch, studying the ceiling for a moment. "You know," she says, "I thought booking someone would make this feel less lonely. But it turns out talking like this does more than anything else." He feels something tighten in his chest. Not discomfort, recognition. "That is usually how it goes," he replies. She looks at him again, more directly now. "You do not seem like someone who enjoys pretending." "I do not," he admits. "But sometimes pretending creates a space where honesty feels safer." She nods, accepting that answer without pushing. She has learned, through experience, that not every truth needs to be extracted. There is a shift then, subtle but real. The night stops feeling like an arrangement and starts feeling like a choice they are both actively making. She stands and walks to the window, looking out at the city lights. "I am glad you came," she says, echoing his words from earlier. "So am I," he replies, and this time there is no calculation behind it. Neither of them knows what comes next. The reveal is still far away, waiting for its moment. For now, there is only this quiet understanding, built without titles or wealth or expectation. And for a man used to being obeyed, admired, and feared, being simply allowed to be here feels more dangerous than any truth he is hiding. She turns back from the window slowly, as if she does not want to disturb the fragile calm that has settled between them. The city lights reflect faintly in the glass behind her, outlining her silhouette without revealing too much. She folds her arms, not defensively but thoughtfully. "There is something I need to say before we go any further," she begins. He straightens slightly, giving her his full attention. "Take your time." She nods, appreciating that he does not rush her. "I want tonight to stay simple," she says. "I do not want to feel like I owe anything just because I made a booking. I do not want to feel pressured to follow a script." "You do not owe me anything," he answers without hesitation. "Not now, not later." She studies his face again, searching for any sign that this is part of an act. If it is a remarkably convincing one. "There is something else," she continues. "If at any point you decide this is not what you expected, I want you to feel free to leave. No explanations required." He takes a slow breath. This is the moment he usually controls. The moment when the rules shift in his favor. Tonight, she is the one setting them. "I appreciate that," he says, "but I want to be clear as well. I am here because I choose to be, not because I have to be." Her expression softens, just a little. She walks back to the couch, stopping a few feet away from him. "Then let us agree on one thing," she says. "Whatever happens tonight, it has to feel mutual. Otherwise, it does not happen at all." "I agree," he replies, "completely." The air between them feels different now, lighter, not because expectations have been raised, but because they have been stripped away. She sits down again, this time a little closer than before, though still leaving space. "You know," she says, almost thoughtfully, "I was worried I would feel embarrassed doing this." "And do you?" he asks. "No," she admits. "I feel respected. That was not what I expected." He allows himself a small smile. "Respect should not be unexpected." "Yet it often is," she replies. There it is, the quiet truth that sits beneath so many of her choices. She has learned to lower expectations to avoid disappointment. Tonight, she raised them just enough to see who would meet them. He leans back slightly, careful not to crowd her. "May I ask you something as well?" She nods. "You may." "If you had known exactly how this night would unfold," he asks, "would you still have booked it?" She considers the question seriously. After a moment, she answers honestly. Yes, but for a different reason. Which is? Because I needed proof that kindness still exists without a price tag attached to it. The words land harder than she intends. He feels them settle somewhere deep, somewhere uncomfortably close to the truth he is hiding. He has built an empire on contracts, leverage, and control. Tonight, none of that matters. What matters is whether he deserves the trust she is offering so carefully. I want you to know something, he says quietly. If all you want from tonight is conversation, that is enough for me. She looks at him, surprised, then relieved. Thank you, she says. I was hoping you would say that. They sit together then, not as client and escort, not as roles or disguises, but as two people who have agreed, consciously, to treat each other with dignity. Without realizing it, she has just completed the true test of the night. And for the first time since he put on this disguise, he is no longer sure who is being tested. The night does not move forward the way either of them expected. Instead of crossing lines, it slows. Instead of escalating, it deepens. She rises from the couch and walks toward the kitchen again, this time with more ease. She opens a cabinet, pulls out a small plate of crackers she forgot she even had, and sets it on the table between them. The gesture is ordinary. That is what makes it intimate. Are you hungry? She asks. A little, he answers, but not in the way people usually mean. She smiles at that, the first real smile of the night. I know what you mean. They sit across from each other at the small table, sharing the quiet rhythm of an unplanned moment. No music, no dimmed lights, just the soft hum of the refrigerator and the distant sounds of the city outside. She asks where he grew up. He gives her a version of the truth that is carefully incomplete. A modest childhood, a lot of responsibility early on, learning how to observe people before trusting them. And you? He asks. She tells him about moving to the city with ambition and certainty, convinced she would build something meaningful quickly. She laughs softly as she admits how wrong that timeline was. I am proud of myself, she says. I just did not expect the cost to be loneliness. He nods. Success has a way of isolating people, even when it looks different on the surface. She pauses, sensing that the sentence holds more weight than it appears to, but she does not press. As the minutes pass, something subtle happens. She stops checking the clock. He stops monitoring himself. The rules they agreed upon remain intact, but they are no longer the focus. What matters now is the ease between them. I want to ask something personal, she says, and you can say no. All right. Does this work ever make you feel invisible? She asks, like people see the role, not the person. The question lands directly on him, too directly. Yes, he answers after a moment, more often than I expected. She nods, as if that confirms something she suspected. I think that is why tonight feels different, she says. We are both being seen without the armor we usually wear. He feels the truth of that settle in his chest. He has spent years controlling perception, shaping narratives, deciding what people are allowed to know. Tonight, he is choosing not to. She leans back in her chair, studying him with quiet curiosity. I hope this does not sound strange, she says, but I trust you. He looks at her, surprised. Why? Because you did not try to earn it, she replies. You just showed up. That sentence stays with him. It cuts through the layers of justification he has built around this disguise. This was supposed to be observation, distance, control. Instead, it has become connection. The time passes unnoticed until she glances at the clock and exhales softly. It is later than I thought. Do you want me to go? He asks immediately. She considers it, then shakes her head. No, I just want to be honest. Tonight already gave me what I needed. And what was that? He asks. Proof, she says, meeting his eyes, that kindness can exist without a transaction attached. He feels something shift decisively inside him. The test, whatever it was supposed to be, is over. And she has passed it without ever knowing there was one. As the night continues, neither of them realizes that this quiet choice, to stay present instead of performing, has already rewritten the meaning of everything that will come next. Morning arrives quietly, almost deceptively normal. She wakes to pale sunlight slipping through the blinds, the city already moving without her. For a moment, she forgets everything. Then the memory of the night returns, not as regret, but as warmth. Conversation, laughter without effort. A man who listened and left without asking for more. He had gone before dawn, exactly as promised. No drama, no lingering. Just a simple goodbye and a sincere thank you. She told herself that was the end of it. Later that evening, she stands in a crowded ballroom downtown, glass walls reflecting chandeliers and well-dressed strangers. She almost declined the invitation. Almost. But work obligations have a way of dragging people into rooms they do not want to enter. She smooths her dress and scans the space, already counting the minutes until she can leave. Then the lights dim slightly. A hush moves through the crowd as a host steps onto the stage, microphone in hand, voice polished and confident. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announces, "thank you for joining us tonight. We are honored to welcome the guest of honor, the man behind one of the most influential companies in the country." She barely listens at first. Titles blur together. Accomplishments stack up, impressive but distant. Then she hears the name. It hits her like a physical force. Her breath catches. Her grip tightens on the glass in her hand. The man from the stage appears on the screens lining the walls. The same eyes, the same calm presence. Only now, he is standing straight, impeccably dressed, surrounded by applause. The escort from her apartment. The man who listened. The man who said he chose to be there. He is not an escort. He is a billionaire chief executive officer. The room erupts in applause, but she hears nothing. The sound drains away, replaced by a sharp ringing in her ears. Images overlap in her mind. His careful words, his restraint, his kindness. The disguise snaps into focus all at once. Her chest tightens, not with awe, but with something colder. Betrayal, embarrassment. The sick realization that she had been unknowingly vulnerable with someone who held unimaginable power. She sets her glass down before her hand starts to shake. On stage, he smiles politely, accepting praise he has received 1,000 times before. But his eyes scan the room, searching. Then they find her. The moment stretches. The smile falters, just slightly. He knows she understands now. She does not wait for him to speak. She turns and walks away, weaving through the crowd, heart pounding harder with every step. She needs air, distance, control. Behind her, applause continues. The world celebrates a man she thought she knew. He steps down from the stage the moment the speech ends, ignoring hands reaching for him, conversations waiting to begin. He follows the direction she disappeared, urgency replacing composure. When he finally finds her outside on the terrace, the city spread out behind her in a wash of lights, she does not turn around. "You should not be here," she says quietly. "I know," he replies, "but I could not let you leave without hearing the truth." She faces him then, anger steady and contained. "The truth?" she asks. "Which part? The part where you tested me? Or the part where you let me believe you were someone else entirely?" He does not interrupt. He does not defend himself. He lets her speak because this time, listening is the only thing that matters. "I trusted you," she continues, "not because of who you pretended to be, but because you treated me like an equal. And now I have to wonder if any of it was real." His voice is low when he answers. "It was real, every moment, but I understand why that is not enough." The reveal hangs between them, heavy and irreversible. Whatever this was, whatever it could have been, has just changed forever. She does not soften after the reveal. If anything, her posture becomes more controlled, as if she is carefully containing something that could easily spill over. "You do not get to decide when the truth matters," she says. "You decided that for me the moment you walked into my apartment pretending to be someone else." He stands a few feet away, hands at his sides, resisting the instinct to close the distance. Power has taught him many reflexes. Tonight, he ignores all of them. "You are right," he says. "I should have told you sooner. I did not, and that is on me." "That does not explain why," she replies. "Why do this at all? Why lie?" He exhales slowly. "Because when people know who I am, they stop being honest. They perform. They want something. I wanted to know who you were when there was nothing to gain." Her eyes flash. "So I was an experiment." "No," he says immediately. "You were not." That is exactly what this feels like, she answers. A test I did not agree to take. The words land hard because they are true. He has built his life on consent, contracts, and control. And yet here, he crossed a line he cannot undo. I never meant to put you in that position, he says. I did not expect to care the way I do. She laughs once, sharply. That does not make it better. Silence stretches between them, filled with the distant hum of traffic and muted laughter from inside the ballroom. The world has moved on, but for her, the night has fractured. You know what hurts the most? She asks finally. It is not that you are wealthy. It is that you had all the power, and you still chose to watch me be vulnerable without telling me the truth. He nods, accepting the accusation without deflection. I understand. No, she says, you do not. You get to leave this terrace and return to a life where mistakes like this are absorbed by privilege. I do not. She turns away, gripping the railing, breathing through the emotion she refuses to let break her voice. When I invited you into my home, she continues, I thought I was choosing honesty. Now I have to question every moment of that night, every word, every look. He takes a step back, giving her space she did not ask for, but clearly needs. If there is anything I can do, he begins. She shakes her head. You cannot fix this with money, or apologies, or explanations. She turns to face him one last time. I need you to understand something. What mattered to me was not who you are on that stage. It was who you were on my couch, and now I do not know if that person ever really existed. He feels the weight of that truth settle fully for the first time. This is not a misunderstanding he can clarify. This is trust, once broken, standing between them. I am sorry, he says quietly. Not because I was caught, but because I hurt you. She holds his gaze for a moment, searching for something she can no longer allow herself to accept. Goodbye, she says. Then she walks away, leaving him alone on the terrace, surrounded by lights that suddenly feel colder than any darkness. For the first time in years, his wealth offers no protection at all. The days that follow are quieter than he is used to. There are no meetings that feel urgent enough, no decisions that bring satisfaction. The memory of her walking away stays with him, replaying not as a dramatic moment, but as a simple truth he failed to honor. For the first time, he does not look for a way to justify his actions. Instead, he looks for accountability. He cancels the next round of undercover visits. No announcements, no explanations. He instructs his team to shut the program down entirely. When asked why, he gives a simple answer. It crossed a line. Then he does something he has never done before. He listens to the silence that follows. Weeks pass. She does not hear from him. Not a message, not a call, not an apology disguised as concern. At first, she braces herself for the inevitable attempt to repair things on his terms. It never comes. What does arrive instead is unexpected. An article circulates quietly through professional circles. No headlines, no fanfare. Just a clear statement released by his company. It announces the end of all covert social testing initiatives and outlines a new internal ethics policy focused on transparency and consent. Her name is not mentioned, but the reason is. She reads it twice, unsure what to feel. Later that month, she receives an email from a foundation she once volunteered with years ago, back when she still believed her efforts mattered. They tell her a new donor has funded a program she once proposed, but was told was too small to be worth investing in. A community support initiative, designed by working professionals, led by people who understand isolation from the inside. The proposal she thought no one remembered. At the bottom of the message is a note. There is no signature, just a sentence. This was always your idea. It deserved to exist without conditions. She closes her laptop and sits still for a long time. Meanwhile, he stays away. He does not show up uninvited. He does not ask for forgiveness. He understands now that redemption is not something he gets to request. It is something he has to earn, quietly, without expectation. He takes responsibility publicly and steps back privately. He speaks about power and trust in boardrooms, not as concepts, but as obligations. He dismantles systems he once believed were harmless. For the first time, he leads without control. Months later, they cross paths again, not by design, but by circumstance. A small event, a shared space, no audience. She sees him first. He does not approach. He waits. When she finally looks up, their eyes meet. There is no tension this time, only recognition. He nods once, nothing more. She considers everything that happened after she walked away, the restraint, the changes, the absence of entitlement. When she speaks, her voice is steady. "You did not try to fix me," she says. "No," he replies. "I fixed what was mine to fix." It is not forgiveness, not yet, but it is the first moment that feels honest since the night everything changed. And this time, there is no disguise between them. The city feels different the next time they speak. There is no grand setting, no audience, no reveal waiting in the wings. Just a quiet afternoon, and two people standing across from each other, without roles to hide behind. They sit at a small cafe near the park, sunlight cutting across the table between them. He arrived early, not out of strategy, but out of respect. When she arrives, he stands, then waits for her cue before sitting back down. "Thank you for meeting me," he says. She nods once. "I did not come for explanations." "I know," he replies. "I will not offer any." That alone tells her how much has changed. They talk slowly, about ordinary things at first. Work, the city, the strange comfort of routines. There is no rush to define what this moment means. Both of them understand how fragile trust is when rebuilt from honesty instead of charm. Finally, she sets her cup down and looks at him directly. "I need to say something," she begins, "and I need you to hear it without responding right away." He nods. "I am listening." "The night we met," she says, "I was not looking for love. I was looking for proof that I could still be treated with dignity when nothing else was promised." She pauses, steadying her voice. "You gave me that, and then you took it away. But what matters now is what you did after." He does not speak. "You did not chase me," she continues. "You did not try to buy your way back into my life. You changed what needed to be changed, even when no one was watching." She exhales softly. "That matters to me." He meets her eyes, his expression open, unguarded. "I never expected another chance," he says quietly. "I only wanted to deserve one." She considers him for a long moment. The man before her is not the escort she booked, and not the executive on the stage. He is someone else entirely, someone shaped by consequence. "I am not promising anything," she says. "Not a relationship, not forgiveness on your timeline." "I would never ask for that," he replies. "But," she adds, "I am willing to start with something simple." "What is that?" he asks. "Honesty," she says. "No disguises, no tests, no power games." He nods immediately. "You have my word." They sit there for a while longer, letting the weight of that agreement settle. When they stand to leave, there is no dramatic gesture, no kiss, no declaration, just a shared understanding. As they walk in opposite directions, she stops and turns back. "One more thing," she says. He turns. "The night I booked you," she says, "I asked for kindness. That is still all I want." He smiles then, not as a billionaire, not as someone pretending to be less than he is, but as a man who finally understands what matters. This time, he says, it comes with nothing hidden. And for the first time, she believes him. Because true love does not begin with a disguise. It begins the moment both people choose to be seen.